A billionaire CEO vanishes, and a quiet gateman takes his place. But this gateman is the CEO himself. He's here to watch, to test, and to expose the truth. When the mask comes off, lives will change forever. Would you pass the test? Like for justice, share to inspire, comment your thoughts. Everybody in the company knew the name Mr. Desmond Eze. He was the founder and CEO of Dextech Solutions, one of the biggest tech companies in Lagos. People said he started from nothing and built his business from his one-bedroom apartment in Surulere. Now Dextech had a tall glass building in Lekki with over 200 staff. But one Monday morning, something strange happened. Mr. Desmond didn't come to the office. His car wasn't in the usual parking spot. His private elevator didn't open. His personal assistant, Kioma, looked confused. By Tuesday, his phone was switched off. By Friday, staff had started gossiping. "Maybe he's sick," one person said in the lunchroom. "No, I heard he traveled to America," another replied. A bold cleaner whispered, "Maybe them kidnap him." Nobody knew the truth, but one thing was sure: the boss was gone. Then the next Monday, a new face appeared at the gate. A middle-aged man, not too tall, not too short. His skin was dark, and he had some gray hairs. He wore a clean security uniform and stood straight like a soldier. He didn't talk much. He just nodded and opened the gate. "Good morning," he said quietly to the first staff that walked in. Some greeted him back. Others walked past him like he didn't exist. Nobody knew that the new gateman was Mr. Desmond himself. He had shaved his beard, removed his glasses, and changed his walk. Even his voice was softer than usual. He was testing something very deep. You see, Mr. Desmond didn't just disappear for fun. He wanted to see the truth. He wanted to know how his staff behaved when the ogre was not watching. He wanted to see who was loyal, who was honest, and who was pretending. So he became the nobody at the gate. Every day he arrived before 6 a.m., sweeping the front of the company. He stayed in the small gatehouse with only a table fan and a plastic chair. He ate lunch in nylon bags and drank pure water under the sun. He watched people closely. He saw the cleaners arrive early and tired. He saw some managers come late but still shout at their juniors. He saw one staff lie that she was sick but went shopping instead. Mr. Desmond wrote everything down in a small notebook he hid in his bag. That first week was hard, not because of the sun or the work, but because he saw the real face of his company, and it shocked him. Some people treated him well, like Mama Chinyere, the old cleaner who always greeted him with a smile. But many treated him like dirt, and Mr. Desmond said nothing. He just opened the gate, watched, and waited. The sun in Lagos was hot, but Mr. Desmond didn't complain. Every morning before 6 a.m., he was already at the gate. He wore his blue security uniform with black shoes and a face cap that covered most of his face. He even used a walking style different from his usual confident CEO steps. From behind the gate, he watched the company he built with his own hands. He watched how people behaved when they thought no one important was looking. "Good morning, sir," some staff would say politely. Others would just hiss or wave their ID card rudely. Mr. Desmond noticed it all. He now lived in a small boys' quarters behind the building. No air conditioner, no fridge. Just a fan, a mattress on the floor, and his notebook. At night, he wrote down what he saw in the day. Who came early? Who shouted at drivers? Who threw dirt on the ground? Who smiled at the gate? One day, a young man in a suit walked in, chewing gum and pressing his phone. "Good morning, sir," Mr. Desmond said. The man looked at him like trash and replied, "Gate man, open the gate well next time." Then he walked off. Desmond shook his head. That same man once begged him for a promotion last year, but now he didn't recognize his own boss. The only person who showed him real kindness every day was Mama Chinyere, the cleaner. She was about 55, short and round with kind eyes. Every morning she brought him a small plate of hot jollof rice or moi. "Take, Oga Gate," she would say, in a small thing, but manage am. He always smiled and said, "Thank you, Ma." Sometimes they sat and talked during break time. She told him about her life, how she lost her husband, how she still struggled to pay her son's school fees, how she hoped to retire soon. Desmond listened carefully. She didn't know he had the power to change her life forever. During his work at the gate, Mr. Desmond started noticing something else. Staff were sneaking out during office hours. Some were carrying office items like paper and even phones out. One manager even used the company driver to carry his wife to the market. He was shocked. All this under my nose, he thought. He started planning what to do next. But not yet. He needed to see more, hear more. He needed to find out who was truly honest and hardworking, and who was destroying his company from the inside. Every day he kept watching. Every night he kept writing. And the man at the gate, the invisible CEO, was slowly uncovering secrets that would shake the whole building. By the third week, Mr. Desmond had seen more than enough. Standing at the gate every day showed him things he never imagined. When he used to sit upstairs in his big glass office, everything looked fine. But now from this small gatehouse, he was seeing the truth. He saw how the company was slowly rotting. One Monday morning, he noticed a group of workers standing near the parking lot, laughing loudly and drinking soft drinks. They were supposed to be inside the building, working. He looked closely. Two of them were department heads. Desmond brought out his small notebook and wrote down their names. That same day, he saw the company bus arrive. The driver was sweating. When Desmond asked what happened, the man replied, "Sir, it was manager that sent me. Go drop his children at school before coming here." Desmond nodded and added another note to his book. In the past, he trusted his managers to run the place well. He paid them well, gave them cars and even bonuses. But now they were using company resources like it was their personal property. Later that week, one of the HR officers came in late. Again. This was the third time in 1 week. "Good morning," Desmond said at the gate. She rolled her eyes and replied, "Please shift," brushing past him. Desmond said nothing, but in his notebook he wrote, "No manners. Always late." He noticed something else too. The junior staff, the cleaners, security, drivers, they were the ones who worked the hardest. They came early, swept, cleaned, arranged chairs, carried files, and followed orders without complaining. Nobody respected them. Some managers didn't even look at them as human beings. But Desmond saw them, every one of them. And he began to separate people in his mind. The proud ones, managers and staff who acted like kings, the pretenders, people who worked only when someone was watching, the honest ones. A few workers who came early, worked well, and respected everybody every evening. He sat in his small room and updated his notebook. He even used a hidden phone to record things. Voices, arguments, meetings. One time he heard two staff talking about how they could steal money from a contract deal and settle Oga small. They didn't know the man at the gate was the real Oga. He saved the audio. Another day, a female staff shouted at Mama Chenier for mopping the floor near her shoes. She called her dirty old woman and walked off. Desmond saw tears in Mama Chenier's eyes. He gave her a cold sachet of water and said, "Don't mind them." "You are doing well," she smiled. "Not only you they see me for this place, Oga Gate." That night, Desmond couldn't sleep. He looked around his small hot room and said to himself, "This company needs to change. But first, I must know who to keep and who to remove." By the fourth week, Mr. Desmond had seen and heard many things. He had filled almost one full notebook with names, behaviors, and secrets. But he still needed to test the hearts of his workers. He didn't just want to see who was lazy or who was stealing. He wanted to know who had good character, who was honest even when no one was watching. So he planned a few small tests. Test 1. The lost phone. One morning, Desmond placed a brand new phone near the company's side entrance. He stood from a distance and watched. A young office assistant, Taupe, passed by. He saw the phone, looked around, picked it, and entered the building quickly. Desmond followed him quietly and waited. 2 hours passed. No announcement. No one returned the phone. Later in the day, Desmond walked past Taupe and said, "Did anyone drop anything near the gate today?" Taupe shook his head. "No, sir. Nothing." Desmond smiled. Another line went into his notebook. Taupe, failed honesty test. Test 2. The missing wallet. Another day, Desmond dropped a wallet near the car park. It had just 3,000 naira and a small ID card inside with the name Joseph Owalabi. A cleaner, Bola, found it. She rushed to the gate and handed it to Desmond. "Oga Gate, I find this thing near that black Jeep. Maybe person forget am," she said. Desmond was impressed. He said, "Thank you. I'll try and find the owner." That evening, he quietly sent 20,000 naira to Bola through the HR department, pretending it was extra support for her good work. Another line in his notebook: "Bola, honest, deserves reward." Test 3. The cry for help. One afternoon, Desmond stopped a few staff at the gate and told them a lie. "My daughter is sick," he said. "I need 2,000 naira urgently for her drugs. I'll pay you back next week." Most of them said, "Sorry, I no get cash," and walked away. But one junior IT staff named Ibrahim paused. He looked at Desmond and said, "I no really get much, but take this 1,500 naira. I hope she gets well, sir." Desmond was touched. He didn't need the money, but that moment showed him something deeper than job performance. It showed kindness. That night in his small boys' quarters, Desmond looked at his list. Some names had stars beside them. Some had question marks. Some had big X marks. He whispered, "I now know who is real and who is fake." He had seen the pride, the lies, the stealing, but he had also seen honesty, respect, and care, mostly from the people no one noticed. The man at the gate was almost ready, but one more storm was coming, and it was bigger than all he had seen so far. It was a quiet Thursday afternoon. The sun was high, and the gate area was calm. But deep inside the company building, something dark was going on. And Mr. Desmond, still dressed as the gateman, was about to uncover it. For weeks, he had seen small signs of dishonesty, lateness, rudeness, theft. But this was different, bigger, dangerous. Earlier that morning, he noticed two top managers, Mr. Conley and Mrs. Lara, whispering at the car park. They were speaking in low tones, looking around like they didn't want to be seen. Desmond slowly walked past them, sweeping the floor and pretending not to hear. But his ears were sharp. He heard Kunle say, "The papers are ready. Once the boss doesn't return next month, we can start the sale." Lara nodded. "Let's act fast. By the time anybody notices, the land would have changed hands." Desmond's heart skipped. Which land, he thought. That evening, he sneaked into the office area with his hidden phone and recorded a meeting they held inside Lara's office. From the recording, he found out they were planning to sell one of the company's major properties in Ikeja. They had already forged documents and were arranging to split the money. They believed Mr. Desmond was truly gone, either missing or dead. One of them even said, "That old man was too soft. He gave cleaners bonuses and drivers holiday pay. Now that he's out of the way, we can run this company like men." Desmond stood behind the wall, shaking with anger. He wanted to walk in and shout, "I am the man you're calling old." But he didn't. Not yet. He needed proof. That night, he copied all his recordings onto a flash drive and labeled it, "Evidence, Betrayal at Dextech." The next day, he went to speak with Mama Chenier. He needed someone to talk to. As usual, she brought him beans and pap. She sat beside him on the bench near the gate. "You look tired today, Oga Gate," she said kindly. Desmond looked at her and said, "Mama, what if the people you trust in life are the same ones planning to destroy everything you built?" She shook her head slowly. "Then you don't cry. You stand up and fight, even if you fight alone." Those words touched him deeply. He nodded and whispered, "Thank you." He knew now that the time was close. The betrayal inside the company was worse than he imagined. These people were ready to sell land, steal contracts, and cheat workers, all because they thought the boss was gone forever. But the boss was still here, right at the gate, watching, waiting, and soon, returning. The plan to destroy the company was real. Mr. Desmond had seen it with his own eyes and recorded the evidence with his own hands. But there was one thing keeping his heart soft. Mama Chenier. She had no idea who he truly was. To her, he was just Oga Gate, the quiet security man who listened and greeted kindly. One Friday morning, as she dropped his usual breakfast, he noticed her eyes looked red. "Mama, you look tired," he said. She sat down slowly on the bench near the gate, shaking her head. My son wants to stop school, she replied, almost in a whisper. Why? Desmond asked. He's in university, third year, studying computer science. But we can't pay school fees anymore. His father died many years ago. Now everything is on my head. This job no reach. She wiped her face and added, I told him not to worry. I'll try, but deep inside I'm scared. I can't even feed us well. Desmond felt a sharp pain in his chest. This woman, who always brought him food, who never shouted at anyone, who cleaned toilets with joy, was silently carrying a heavy burden. He wanted to tell her the truth, that he was Mr. Desmond Eze, the CEO, that he could pay her son's fees, buy her a house, and give her a new life. But not yet. He still had a mission to complete. So instead he said, What's your son's name? Chuka, she smiled weakly. He wants to build apps one day. He always says he will create one to make my life easier. Desmond smiled back. That's a good dream. That evening, when Desmond returned to his room, he brought out an old laptop. It was dusty but still working. He typed a short email using a secret company address. To HR Department. Subject, Special Support. Do not ask questions. Pay 150,000 naira into Mama Chinyere's salary account this weekend from the company's welfare reserve. Sign it anonymously. Do not mention my name. He pressed send. Then he picked up the phone and called an old friend, a university lecturer at Chuka's school. Help me check something quietly, he said. There's a boy called Chuka O Nwachukwu, computer science department. Let me know his standing and how much he's owing. 2 days later, the message came back. He's a brilliant student, top 5 in his class. He's owing 120,000 naira. Desmond smiled. Another anonymous email was sent, this time to the school's account officer, with payment and a short note. From a friend who believes in Chuka, tell him not to give up. When Mama Chinyere came to work the next week, she was shining. Oga Gate, she called happily. My son's school fees. Someone paid it. We don't even know who. I've been crying since yesterday. Desmond smiled and said quietly, God sees your heart, Mama. Good things will find you. She looked at him with teary eyes. You're more than just a gate man, I swear. God bless you. He nodded but said nothing. In his heart, he whispered, You deserve more, Mama, and soon you will get it. It was a bright Monday morning. The company was buzzing with excitement. Dex Tech was celebrating its 10-year anniversary. Decorations covered the reception. A red carpet stretched across the entrance. A stage was being prepared outside for speeches and awards. But there was one problem. The CEO was still missing. The board of directors had sent emails to staff saying they were handling things, but many people had started thinking Mr. Desmond was either dead or had abandoned the company. Inside the boardroom, Mr. Kunle and Mrs. Lara were smiling to themselves. Their plan to sell company land was almost complete. They were already preparing fake documents and calling buyers. What they didn't know was that their plan was about to crash. At exactly 10 a.m., a black SUV drove through the company gate. The gate man on duty, Mr. Desmond, stood tall and watched it pass. But this time, he wasn't in his security uniform. He wore a neat black suit and tie. His beard had grown back, and he had his signature glasses on. He walked in quietly behind the SUV. Some people noticed him and stared. Others blinked in shock. Wait, is that? No way. Isn't that Mr. Desmond? Staff began whispering, some with shame on their faces, others with surprise. Mr. Desmond walked to the front of the building and climbed the stage calmly. He took the microphone. The whole company was now silent. Good morning, he said. Some of you know me as Mr. Desmond Eze, the CEO of this company. But for the past 1 month, I was also the man at the gate. Gasps, mouths opened. People looked at each other, confused. He continued, Yes, I dressed as a gateman, lived in the boys' quarters and watched everything. How you treated others, how you worked, and how you spoke when you thought I wasn't there. People were frozen. Desmond pulled out a small flash drive and gave it to the technician. Play this, he said. The speakers came alive. The whole company heard the recorded voices of Kunle and Lara, planning to sell company land, insulting Mr. Desmond, and mocking junior staff. The shame was heavy. Cunley tried to walk away. "Stay right there," Desmond said calmly. Then he turned to the crowd. "This company was built with sweat and sacrifice. I will not let greed destroy it. From today, there will be changes." He pointed to some junior staff in the crowd. "Bola, honest cleaner, you are promoted to front desk supervisor. Ibrahim, your kindness touched me. You're now assistant admin officer. Mama Chinyere, you'll now head company welfare. No more toilet scrubbing for you." The crowd clapped. Some cried. He looked at Kunle and Lara. "You're both fired, and charges will follow." Security took them away. Desmond ended his speech with one simple line. "Sometimes, to know what's truly happening at the top, you have to start from the gate." The company had never seen a day like that. After the shocking reveal at the 10-year anniversary, Dextech was no longer the same. For days, people talked about it across Lagos. News blogs picked up the story. CEO disguises as Gateman, exposes corrupt managers. From gate to glory, real heroes rewarded at Dextech. Inside the company, things began to change. Fast. New promotions, new atmosphere. Bola. The cleaner came to work in a neat skirt and blouse the following week. She now sat behind the reception desk smiling and answering calls. For the first time in her life, she had an office email in a chair that spun around. Ibrahim, the junior IT staff who once gave Desmond 1,500 naira without knowing who he was, now had a better office and a new laptop. Desmond personally called him and said, "Never lose that kind heart. One day, it'll take you farther than talent." And then there was Mama Chinyere. She now wore proper office clothes and walked with quiet pride. No more mopping floors. Her first job as head of company welfare was to start a new food support program for low-income staff. She called it the People's Plate. Desmond smiled when he heard that name. The real boss is back. Mr. Desmond returned to his top-floor office, but this time, his door was always open. He visited each department, spoke with staff, and listened. No more distance between the boss and the workers. No more fear. The company felt fresh, like a wound that was healing. Every Friday he held staff hour, a time for anyone to speak, suggest, or complain without punishment. Even the drivers and cleaners were allowed to talk. And guess who always sat in the front row? Mama Chinyere. A surprise visit. One day, a young man walked into the building, holding a file. He looked nervous. He wore a university badge. "Good morning, sir," he greeted Desmond at the front desk. "I'm Chuka. I'm here to submit my application for internship." Desmond looked up and smiled. "Your mother didn't tell you I work here?" Chuka frowned. "No, sir. My mom said someone paid my school fees, but she doesn't know who. She just said to keep doing my best." Desmond stood, walked around the desk, and shook his hand. "Welcome to Dextech, Chuka. You're already family here." The man at the gate. At the gate of the company, a small plaque was placed in the corner. It read, "To the man at the gate," who reminded us that power means nothing without heart, and that true leadership starts with listening. Every morning, Desmond stood there for a few minutes before going up to his office, not as a gateman anymore, but as a leader who understood his people. He greeted the new gateman with respect. He waved at the cleaners. He smiled at the interns, because he knew the truth. Sometimes the real strength of a company isn't in the boardroom. It's in how you treat the people who open the gate.